The following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
This Social Security measure gives at least some protection
for anybody to hand this out. We're asking for a chance to have the people who will receive the benefit to earn their way. The same principle established under the Social Security system in this country.
It is no longer acceptable to discuss women's rights as separate from human rights.
I know we can come together to face down the challenges of our own time.
Welcome back to another episode of Us Democrats. I'm Dave Tenza, Chair of the National Democratic City Committee. We are continuing our series with the state rep candidates from all across Nashua. We're very lucky to be joined today by two of the three candidates in Ward 7 here in town, Allison Nunning and Catherine Sofkidis. Did I say that right? Pretty much, more or less, huh?
Yeah.
And so we're like a lot of the wards, we have some veteran candidates and some first-time candidates. So we want everyone to be able to meet the folks who are hopefully going to be representing them in Concord and give them an idea of what the issues are that are important to you and why you're running for state rep. So Allison, we'll start with you. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and why you decided to run for this position?
So my name's Allison Nutting. I'm running for state rep in Ward 7. I'm running pretty much because I believe that you have to be the change you want to see in the world. So we had 3 state reps back in 2012 that weren't showing up, didn't really do their jobs, and I kind of wanted a state rep that would. So that's why I originally ran in 2012. I'm running again. Last time I lost by 26 votes, so I'm really hoping to get at least 30 more votes than I got last year, or 2 years ago now. If you've seen me in the news, I've also run for school board as a writing candidate back in 2015 now. So education is a really important thing to me. I think it's really important to have, as a young Nashuan, I'd like to have a family in Nashua, and have a good public school system is really important to me. I also find rail to be very important, and just proper transportation in general. I think it's a great way to bring young Nashua families into Nashua, into New Hampshire, keep my friends from moving away. And then another issue that's important to me is just the public health. We have a large opioid problem. I think we also have a little bit of a doctor shortage in general. So I'd just like to help improve those things in our city, in our state.
And Allison, you are involved in a family-run small business here in Nashua. And so how does that affect your thinking about running or thinking about wanting to serve?
So I work at Phoenix Manufacturing, a small family-run business on Front Street, actually. It's just a small machine shop. Luckily, I have the flexibility to work in Concord once or twice or even 3 times a week. It also is more important to me because I think it's good to have company, pro-company issues. I don't really know the term for it. But I'd like, to have it be easier to have a small business in Nashua. We've been running for 23 years now, and I've been there since I graduated college about 5 years ago now.
Yeah, I mean, certainly if you listen to the national candidates talk, they talk about how all of the, vast majority of the jobs that are going to be created from small machine shops and small businesses like the one your family runs. So it's vitally important that they're happy and that they're able to function here in New Hampshire. It can do a lot of good for a lot of people, a lot of families. So thanks for coming on and being here with us. We'll turn then to Catherine Sofkidis from Ward 7. Catherine, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and why you chose to run?
Sure. I've lived in Nashua for 30 years, having moved here from the West Coast. I'm a registered nurse, and I worked for 30 years in Boston at the Brigham and Women's Hospital. I had to retire because I got a work involved spinal cord injury. So that was 8 years ago, and now I have all this time, and I really love New Hampshire, and I love my ward. And I know that right now everybody's probably in campaign overload and political overload, but I would ask you to hang with us. I would say that New Hampshire earned its spot as the first in the nation primary because we pulled ours off without a hitch, where we found that many other states did not. And I'm extremely proud of that. But we have a lot of work to do, and so we're asking people, no matter how their political fatigue is, to vote from the bottom of the ticket up to the top, because the people who are down ticket are the ones who are your friends and neighbors, who are putting themselves on the line for you. This state rep job pays $100 a year, and it's truly a citizens' legislature. And many issues are coming up that we need to be involved in. That's expanding Medicaid and making it permanent, getting the rail to New Hampshire, dealing with the opioid crisis, and funding education. And those things are very important to me. Global warming, they're saying that if the temperature rises 1.5 more degree, that the seawater will go up 9 meters. Well, 9 meters takes care of our shoreline, and I don't know what it would do to our ski industry. And so those things mean a lot to me.
Yeah, and that's probably a great example of how this big national, global issue, as a state rep in New Hampshire, I mean, you can get involved and really try to help impact that, at least locally here, and do our part so that, global warming doesn't continue, is halted as much as it can be right now. It amazes me how many people, who run for state rep the first time, once they're elected, once they get up to Concord, what an absolutely fantastic experience they find it to be. So I hope that for both of you, you'll be able to go up to Concord and serve the people of Ward 7 as best as possible. When you're talking to people around your neighborhoods, what are the issues that are coming up the most?
I think in general, because when they talk about putting rail in Nashua, they talk about that little area in our ward. Mm-hmm. So that becomes an issue along with traffic. There's a lot of city issues that are coming up. The new public works building would also be in Nashua. In our ward on Burke Street. So I hear a lot about that, and a little bit of campaign burnout, things like that.
I think that also that we're getting people that are they have campaign fatigue, and a lot of people think that their government doesn't work for them anymore. And when we were first meeting with the Democratic caucus, the Democratic leader, Steve Shurtleff, said, and it just affected me so deeply, he said, when you run your campaign, you run for things, not against things. And so that's what I would just like to say, that we are running to make New Hampshire a better state for all of us, and we are not going up there to say no to everything. We're going to work together to make the state work better for everybody.
To be a positive influence on
Exactly.
the legislature of the state. Oh, great. Well, we've given the candidates a chance at the end of these interviews to take a minute, talk to voters directly, tell them why you'd like their support, why they should vote for you, and you talked about having people reach out to you. If you could just, if they wanted to find more information, where could they go to get that information? We'll start with you, Allison.
Yeah, if you'd like to know information about me, my website is AllisonNutting.com. I'm also on Facebook and Twitter. You can probably find me on Instagram too. I like taking pictures. And then I'd like to have your support, just if you want someone who's going to show up and listen to you and be a voice for you. And I'd really appreciate your vote. Sorry, thanks.
I also would like to show up and make a difference for the state of New Hampshire. It is the people's legislature, and we need to get up there and take care of New Hampshire's jobs. I think that I have a motto on my website. It says New Hampshire first, and I think that it's so important that we remember that we're up there to represent the constituents of our ward. My Facebook is Catherine for Ward 7. My Twitter is at Nashua Ward 7, and my Gmail account is catherineforward7@gmail.com. I would be proud and humbled to receive your vote, and I promise to return your phone calls.
Well, thank you very much. We'll mention that there is a third Democrat running in Ward 7. It's Francis Area. Unfortunately, he couldn't be here with us today, but we know a lot of the issues that you both talked about are important to Francis as well. And we'll end by saying the polling location is Dr. Crisp Elementary School,
Yes.
As it's always been in Ward 7, or has been for a long time. And polls were open from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. We have same-day registration here in New Hampshire, so if you're not registered on the day of the election, you can go down there, fill out the paperwork, bring some proof of residency, and you will be able to vote. If you don't have a valid ID because your license has lapsed or something like that, you can still go down and vote, so there are really no excuses not to participate and be involved in this election. So thank you both very much for being here. We appreciate you taking the time out of your day. We'll end the show by saying what everyone has echoed here today. Real change happens at the local level. Think about the people at the bottom of the ballot first. Those are going to be the people who affect your life more than the people at the top of the ballot in a lot of ways. So thank you for tuning in. If you have any questions for Allison or Catherine, please reach out to them, and we'd appreciate your support on Election Day. Thanks.
This Social Security measure gives at least some protection
For anybody to hand this out, we're asking for a chance to have the people who will receive the benefit to earn their way. The same principle established under the Social Security system in the 30s.
It is no longer acceptable to discuss women's rights as separate from human rights.
I know we can come together to face down the challenges of our own time.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.